Hello again everyone, Aaron Mortimer, Mariner Insurance. Today we're here with Dean Barker. You might recognise Dean from his sailing exploits, but today we've got Dean in a different capacity. Dean's one of the owners of Southern Pacific Inflatables. It's a specialist inflatable manufacturer repairer, and we're going to have a little bit of talk with Dean about the inflatable business, why he decided to buy into it, and also we're going to do a factory tour. So thanks for having us, Dean.
Yeah, no problem.
To tell us, why did you decide to get involved in Southern Pacific Inflatables?
Well, it dates back to 2012. I've been part of Kiwi Yachting for many years with Richard McAllister and Isabel, and obviously they've built up a business over many years, and it was great to get involved there. We specialise in predominantly it was import distribution with Kiwi Yachting and in the marine industry. When the opportunity came along to take on Southern Pacific Inflatables and Safety at Sea at the same time, it was sort of a no-brainer. It felt like a very good fit with what we do. Focusing on the marine industry, manufacturing wasn't probably on the radar at the time, but it's certainly it's been a great addition to the Kiwi Yachting stable.
I guess one thing that was of interest to me when I was ordering an inflatable and actually a new tender, and that's sort of how we ended up here today. I was talking to Richard McAllister. I couldn't find exactly what I needed, and by the way, Richard's one of the other owners of the whole shoot match. Yep. And Richard said, well, why don't we customise you what we can actually do? You tell me what you want, and we'll modify one of our existing boats to fit. And I thought, well, that's really cool. I mean, that's not something that had occurred to me, because I was under the impression that you buy an inflatable, it looks like this, it smells like that, and looks like that, and you take it or leave it. But it's not actually the case. So it's good to know that, you know, for a local company, you can actually approach the guys that run it and say, look, this is my need. Can you sort something out for me? But leading on to that, Dean, I see you've got, you know, boats from sort of 2-ish metres to 6 metres. What are some of the things people use your boats to do?
It's quite a varied range of activities, from just your basic tender to go with your yacht or powerboat, all the way through to dive boats, various sizes, and then more recently we launched the Performer, which is one of the boats just sort of over the back here at the moment, getting fitted out, which is sort of more it's the deep V hull, more sort of used for coaching, sailing and things. A little, kind of close to my heart. But it's
absolutely.
So we've got that. We're actually introducing another variation of that in the next sort of couple of months, which is going to be really exciting. We don't hold back on the quality of the materials, so that we have a product that will last a significant period of time, because the last thing you want is to be out there on your boating holiday and you have a puncture or something, an issue with the glue or whatever it might be. For us, quality is super important.
Well, that's been really good, Dean. I think what we'd like to do now is we'll get your colleague Simon. I understand he's the brains of the operation, and we'll get him along to give us a factory tour.
Fantastic, it'd be great.
Hello again, everyone. Here with Simon Cantello.
G'day.
Hello, Simon. How are you? Very
Good.
well, thanks. Simon's a factory manager here at Southern Pacific Inflatables. Simon runs the show. He knows all the nitty-gritty and the ins and outs, and we're fortunate that Simon's going to give us a little bit of a factory tour. Let's go.
We build our own brand of boats. We also do other people's brands. So, for example, this is a ray glass. So we build the tubes for them. These are Hypalon tubes. And then obviously the tubes are made, then laminated onto the hull. So at the moment he's just marking out the hull, and then once that's all done, there's tapes go onto the tube. That gets plopped onto the hull, and then there's more taping on the underside and the top side. So there's different types of fabric, obviously. As I said, that's a Hypalon tube. One over here, this is what we call retubing. So people will bring their old boat in, we then copy the tubes, pattern them out, pull them apart like a dressmaker would, and then that's the end result of a copied tube.
So is that tube, is that off that hull?
Yep. Yep. So that'll then get put onto the hull, and it works out about half the price of buying a whole new boat. So as long as your hull's in good condition, it's a good option.
Good option. And what sort of lifespan, if you, I know it's a bit of a movable feast, but if you look after your boat, what sort of lifespan would you get out of those tubes?
You'd probably be looking around 10 to 12 years if you look after it, possibly longer. But boats this size, normally people garage them.
Yeah, right.
So, you know,
You're not exposed to the elements as
correct.
much.
Yeah,
right.
whereas that's generally why we go to Hypalon with bigger boats, because, you know, they're not, they're exposed to the elements all the time.
Okay, cool.
So,
and what's some of the different technologies used for the different fabrics? They all have their own demands, do they?
Yep, sure. So Hypalon, you see here, those tubes are fully handmade.
Oh, really?
So very labour intensive.
Right.
So a tube like that would take approximately 10 days to make.
Wow.
For example, if you wouldn't, but if you made that tube in PVC, you could make it in a day.
Right.
Because it's welded.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot quicker to work with PVC
Right.
and TPU than it is Hypalon.
So is the difference the time and the precision required to glue all the panels together?
Yeah, well, you can't weld Hypalon, so every area that you see there where there's a seam, it has to be hand buffed,
All right.
and then it gets pre-glued, and then it gets put together. So
Wow.
just very labour intensive. Generally, Hypalon's used in a commercial application.
Right. Yeah.
And as I say, bigger stuff that you can't really shelter out of the
right.
UV.
Okay, cool.
Recreational, you will generally go PVC
Yep.
or what we call TPU,
Yeah.
which is sort of in the middle of the two
So on the
fabrics.
smaller sort of tender ranges that you do, where guys have got tenders on their yachts and their launches, what typically are the fabrics that would be in that sort of
Generally
application?
PVC.
PVC.
Yeah.
Then as you're getting up to some of your bigger boats, because you've got the dive boats and you've got the tender.
The boat here, for example,
yep.
that's PVC. That's a 6 metre.
Right.
That's where we would top out
Right.
using PVC.
Okay.
We would then transition to either TPU or Hypalon.
Right. Okay. And is that a customer? What drives whether it's TPU or
Often the application they're
Right.
using it for, or their budget.
right? Yep.
Generally budget.
Yeah. Fair enough. Roughly, how much for something like that? How much more would it be Hypalon versus PVC?
Just under double
Right,
for
okay,
Hypalon.
yep.
Yep.
So if it's a long-term boat for you, and you know you're going to use it, and it's going to be a family boat, and it might be sticking around for 10, 15, 20 years, that's probably a good way to go, the Hypalon.
Yeah, but PVC will be fine.
Right, okay,
I'd
cool.
probably look at TPU because it's a newish fabric, and it is very abrasion resistant.
Right, okay.
So it's a good option now.
And is that welded or is that glued?
Welded.
It's welded.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Cool. Excellent. And what model is that one? Just for
That's our Cormorant 600.
Cormorant 600. Yeah, cool. And what's it got on the back? It's got a
That's got a Merc 90 on it.
right. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Excellent. Shall we go for a walk around the factory?
Sure. So this predominantly is our larger boat side of the factory.
Yep.
We obviously have boats we've made before for customers. They come in for service work.
Oh, yeah. And what sort of service work would you do on the tubes?
Generally, probably the main thing we see is fish line holes.
Ah, right.
So yeah, guys will fish out of them and a snapper will drop on the tube and then you'll get 3 little holes in a row.
Oh, really?
Which are a bugger to find.
Yeah. So it's like a slow deflation, is it?
Yeah, they'll notice it over a 2-week period.
Oh, right.
Yep. So we see a lot of that.
Right. And what's the fix for that? Is it just a patch on the top? Can you
Yeah, with PVC we try and avoid patching it if it's a newish boat because it just looks ugly on a new boat.
Yeah.
We use a clear glue that you can deflate the tube and just put a little sort of a match head dab over the holes. And then just leave it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's not affected by UV, so it doesn't go yellow and you don't get yellow dots on it.
Yeah, right.
But that won't work with Hypalon.
Right.
So Hypalon, same thing, you'd have to patch it. But generally, if it's a nice newish boat, you'll mirror it. So you'll try and integrate a D-ring or a handle, and then you'll mirror that on the other side so it looks like it was supposed to be there.
Cool. Excellent.
So this is our welding room.
Oh, yep.
And cutting room. This is our Pro Sail cutter. So all our patterns, and whether they're our own pattern or like I was saying over there, we copy for a retube. It all gets entered into the computer, digitised. The fabric roll gets pulled out. There's air suction under here which sucks the fabric down.
Yep.
And then this it's basically a little pizza wheel that just cuts the pattern out.
Oh.
So yeah, when we put this in, it was a bit of a game changer. Really, it's freed up so much time.
So what we would have done manually by hand before?
Yeah, but the problem with doing it manually was they used to have what they called a wolf cutting knife, which is basically a large vertical bread knife, for want of a better word.
Yep.
But you used to have to layer 8 or 10 layers of fabric together and cut 8 of that one pattern, so you'd have 7 on the shelf that you didn't actually need that's chewing up fabric.
Right, yeah.
So with this, you just cut what you need and you're done.
Yeah, cool.
So
Excellent.
yeah, great bit of kit.
Yeah, nice.
This is our welding machine.
Right.
Hot air welding.
Sorry, hot air welding?
Hot air.
Hot air,
yeah.
Right, okay. So it's basically melting it all together?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So it's basically a sewing machine that uses air rather than stitching.
Yep.
Old piece of equipment, but it's all chain driven. So basically as cogs and chains wear, you replace them. I mean, that thing will last forever.
How old is it?
That would be 20 plus years old.
Oh, cool. Yeah, right.
Made in the US.
Yep.
All the newer ones, yeah, you don't get the same longevity out of them.
Yeah, right. So it's made a few boats, that machine?
Oh yeah, thousands.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what that is. Obviously
Cool.
that only works for PVC and TPU.
Yep.
And then further around here, that's our RF welder or high frequency.
All right. So RF radio frequency?
Yep.
So it's right.
So basically a big microwave,
Yep.
for want of a better word. So all our end cones, our bar welds, all that sort of stuff is done on that machine.
Right.
So yeah, I think that was actually designed and made in New Zealand.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Excellent. So that's how you join all the bits up. So you're making the patterns on there.
Yep.
Making the bits on there, like a big jigsaw puzzle.
Yep.
And then you're joining them all up over here.
Yep. And
cool.
yeah, there's one that's in the throes of being made.
Oh, yep. Cool. So these lines, are they like?
Yeah, so when we plot it out, we'll plot out certain lines. So the strike marks along the seams, so as he's feeding it through the machine, there'll be another panel with corresponding marks.
Yep.
And depending on the pressure he's pulling on the rollers, he'll try and line all these marks up.
Oh, yep.
We also have baffle lines. There'll be marks that'll say top port,
Oh, yep. Cool.
starboard bottom,
Right,
so
yeah,
he'll know where everything goes.
Yep.
But yet again, you know, before this, someone had to write all that on there
Oh,
and
right.
measure it all out,
Oh,
and
God.
it's just
Big
it's so
job.
quick.
And a lot of human error, I guess. You get it wrong.
Yeah,
The whole thing.
Yep.
Cool.
So once he makes the tubes, he'll lean them up against the wall here, and they'll sit there for generally a week or 10 days.
Is it like a curing sort of process?
It's curing, and it's also testing. So
Right.
obviously if we come in the morning and we see wrinkles in a tube, we know we've got a problem.
Yep.
So then we pull it back down and we can check and see what's wrong. Generally there'll just be something like a valve hasn't been tightened.
Right.
But yeah, we just leave them there for testing.
Yep.
And they all have individual build sheets on them, which,
Oh, yeah, right.
which will have generated a serial number.
So is that when the serial number is generated when the tubes are done, or
Yeah, when the tube's cut,
Right.
we generate a serial
so it
number
becomes a
from
thing
there.
then?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep, and that'll have the information like when it was made, who made it,
Yep.
who checked it,
Yep.
any issues that need to be fixed when it comes to the building process.
Right.
And then that piece of paper will follow through
Right.
to the end of the boat being built.
So you've got that, and then in terms of the hulls, the hulls are made off site,
Yep.
contract manufacturer
Yep.
probably.
Yep.
And then so you whistle him up, you say I need 3 of those
Yep.
and 4 of those.
Yep.
He'll deliver them, so you've
Yep.
got the hulls, you've got the tubes, so then you join
Yep.
them together.
Yep.
Is that what's happening here?
Yep. So this is one of our performers,
Right.
fiberglass hull chase boat.
It's got a nice high bow on there, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite, yeah.
Yep. Nice sharp entry.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is a TPU tube.
Right.
So yeah, he's just laminating the tube onto the hull now.
Yeah, great. And then what sort of time, what for something like this, any idea how many hours it takes to?
Yep, so this will be from start to finish around six days.
6 days, wow.
Yeah.
Yep. And what about like a smaller one, like a little,
You'll build one of those in a couple of days.
right, couple of days,
Yep.
6 days, yeah. And what's the biggest boat that you build?
Well, the largest of our own boats is a 6 metre.
Right.
Yep.
And how long will it take to build one of those?
About 6-7 days.
About 6, 7 days, well, yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
so this boat's a 6 metre.
Yep.
So yeah, similar time frame. We try and keep tubes in stock.
Right.
So we will generally try and keep 3 of each model.
Oh, yeah.
That's a popular model.
Yep.
Which correspond to our hulls over here.
Oh, right, yeah, cool.
So yeah, we order every month of hulls. We
Right.
like to keep, I mean, we're a bit low down at the moment,
Yep.
but that's because we've been building stock. But
Yeah.
generally we keep 6 of each hull in stock if
Oh,
we
yeah.
can.
Cool.
And then yeah, like you say, you marry the two together.
Yeah.
Obviously all these hulls have to be prepped when they come in, so they just come in as a bare hull, and then we have to add all the components on, do all the gluing, and then marry the two together.
That's been really helpful, Simon. Maybe it might be a good idea to finish this little tour by asking you, how do you recommend people look after their tenders? I mean, they're out, you've got guys towing them off their yachts and their launches, they're on the beach. What's the best way to extend the life of them? Yeah,
I think if it's a tender to a boat and it's on board, I would just look at keeping it clean and dry as much as possible. I know that's hard if you're using it. When you bring it back on board, sort of dry it down and have a good quality cover.
Cover,
a fitted cover made out of sunbrella. It tends not to sweat and cause mould and what have you. And you know, if you're using it for fishing, as we talked about before with fish find holes, get a bit of marine carpet or lino or something like that, maybe 1 metre by 2 metres, and just drape that over the tube when you're fishing, so that if you lose control of the fish, it'll drop on that rather than the tube. You can always just roll that up and put it in the boat when you're finished with it.
And I see that, you know, when you go into boat stores, you see online, every man and his dog has got this wonderful cleaning product. Do you have a view about what sort of products you should use or you should avoid?
I'm not a huge fan of them, generally because most of them have silicone in them, and while it makes your boat shiny, if you have to repair your boat, it's now got silicone impregnated in it, and the glue won't stick to it. Yet again, just keep it clean and dry.
Perfect. That's been really helpful. Thanks very much, Simon.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers. Well, that's great, Dean. It was great to have Simon here. Great for him to show us around the factory to see how the magic happens. We're just about to wrap up, Dean, but look, I guess maybe hand the floor over to you. I mean, it's a great site you've got here. You're doing some really cool stuff. Is there anything you'd like to say to anyone who's looking at buying an inflatable?
Well, we're obviously incredibly proud of the brand of Southern Pacific Inflatables. It's been around for a long time. Since we've been involved, we feel, you know, that the brand has really taken a big step on. It's, you know, we're very proud of the offering that we have across a wide range of activities. Very proud of the quality of the boats that we're putting out, and always looking to try and fill some gaps in the market. So
people can, I guess, come out, get on the phone, ring Simon, say, look, I think I want a new inflatable, I want a boat, I want to come out and talk to you. This is what I want. And then you can pretty much sit them down and say, well, we can probably do that, or how does it look and how does it feel?
Yeah, we encourage that because you know, in the end, you know, every person has a different way they want to use their boat, and so there's many ways we can customise the boat to make it work for exactly the purpose it needs. You know, whether it's fitting on an existing boat or something new. So it's always happy to introduce new people to the brand.
Yeah, no, good. Thanks for having us, Steve. Good to see you.
No, thanks for coming out.
Cheers.